smart meter.
Smart meter.
Well,
Why the smart meter? Why can't it be a PG&E approved analog meter? Can it be?
It's my understanding that's what we are replacing, is a smart meter.
you know that.
It's just
So
a
you're
decision.
saying that for the past decades, when we've had analog meters, that we've had a public safety problem?
No, the meter that has been placed at these homes, it's not a PG&E approved meter. It's not something that PG&E has
Right, but
purchased.
you could replace it with a PG&E approved.
We don't
analog.
have, we aren't replacing any analog meters. We don't have any.
That's a policy. But in fact, there's no public safety reason why you can't replace it with an analog meter.
Not that I know of.
No,
I'm sorry, the public comment period is over.
I'm sorry, could the speaker state her name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy Sarsfield, Central Coast Area Manager, Government Relations for PG&E.
Thank you.
It just seems incredibly hard for me to believe that we're going to let people, I don't know how many there are out there. We've heard of 3 today. A person came earlier, and I saw them on the news last night, and we have 2 more people who are sitting in here today. One person has articulated that she has a daughter with an illness. I mean, how can we stand up here and say that we can't do anything to help that person?
As soon as we can replace with a smart meter, the power will be restored.
So you're
In
holding
fact,
her-
in other situations, power has been restored.
So you're holding them hostage in order to make the point.
Exactly. Yes.
This situation is because of the public safety issue that's involved.
It's not.
It's just a couple weeks before the holidays. I would seriously hope that PG&E would take another look at their policy.
I do understand that, and I'll make sure I communicate that.
Who would have the ability to make that decision?
I don't know.
I mean, there's a well-viewed moment at the PUC from several months ago where someone made a case that their health was affected, and the PUC said, give her an analog meter. Many people in this room have seen that. So analog meters aren't the problem, right? I mean, they aren't a public safety threat. What you're saying is how it's connected is the problem. And you
And the type of the meter, that the meter is actually a PG&E approved, tested meter.
You mean like, you know, a UL tested meter?
It's something that one of the meters that we would have tested and that we would have used on our system.
Such as the ones you removed that you have buckets and buckets of. I mean, you must
My understanding is we don't retain those meters.
Where do you put them?
But every day you're replacing them, right? Each day you have a new supply of them.
I'm worried about a mother here with a sick child and wanting to get her house to have electricity through the holidays. We are having a Dickens moment here.
Yeah.
And you can choose to be, you know, Scrooge, or you can say, you know, let's get in the spirit of the holidays and take care of someone in need.
I can understand that. That's not something that I can say here, but I will definitely communicate that.
Who is it that can say that?
I'll take it back to the PG&E smart meter group and team to talk about that.
It would be nice if we could find out who we should be talking to.
I'll communicate back.
There also, I want to mention the other person who spoke who said that she actually did tell the installer that she did not want it to be installed. It was installed anyway. So that's another situation that needs to be corrected.
We've made every effort when, this is a situation where we've made every effort when people have told us they do not want a smart meter that we have not installed it. So I don't know what happened in this situation.
I know that is correct. I know some people that has happened to, but it seems in this case it didn't work that way from the sounds of it.
That's why we've really urged folks to call the delay list number to be put on that, because that gives us a way to track through the process of what happened. And we've gone back and verified that in different situations.
Thank you.
You know, if I had some power, I can understand why people are angry at the sheriff. Because, Ms. Sarsfield, we're up here and we're trying to protect the public health as well. And we've heard convincing testimony that there are people that are being placed at risk by the actions of your corporation. and as a public utility, it's the kind of thing where people would want law enforcement to get involved and use flash incarceration as a new term we've used here in order to understand what the public health benefits might be of providing electricity to a customer who's in need, who made choices based on the best evidence she had for the health of her family, and now only wants to return until to the condition of the meter that she had before this all began, until there is an opt-out plan, at least until there's an opt-out plan that she could choose to make a choice about. And you know, you're up here and you're telling us you can't do anything, and it's incredibly frustrating for the public, and it's incredibly frustrating for policymakers. The reason we have gotten involved in this whole battle is because the public agency, who should have early on been providing help to consumers, failed in their ability to do that, and it forced local governments to get involved. And we had to take extraordinary action, which is declare a moratorium, in order to get the attention of that public agency. And we've heard from lots of people over the past year about their dislike and distaste for PG&E, and we have not contributed to that, because we're just trying to represent what the people who we're the representatives of want us to do. And there are lots of people on both sides of the debate, but to get down to the end of here we are in the middle of December, and say that we're going to wait a couple more weeks and we're just going to leave people without power through the holidays is completely unacceptable. And for you not to be able to tell us who actually makes that decision, it feeds the concern that people have that there is no decision maker that people can talk to on a consecutive basis that can actually make these decisions. We heard earlier today about the foreclosure problem, and people told about the systemic efforts of banks to not have the same person answer concerns about their loan modification program. That's a systemic effort. There's no way, the number of stories that we've heard, that can be something that just happens in big corporations. And we are trying to try to get to a way to help a few people who are adversely affected by a series of decisions not made by them, not made by us, not made by you, but have a detrimental effect on people in our community. And I would like you to consult with your colleague and find out who it is we could be in communication with, because I want to help Bianca get her power back on. And I want to help the other woman who's here get her power back on, and the gentleman that came today, in a way that they consider safe for their family. And until the regulatory bodies can catch up with the concerns of the community, the state, I think that's something that we have to do. The public utility part of the public in the public utility is serious. You have to be able to represent the people that you serve, and that is a ratepayer. I don't know what her payment record, but this is being done because she hasn't paid her bill. This is being done because she did what's in the best interest of her family. I'd like to know who it is we can be in contact with to be able to provide power back to these people who have been cut off.
Okay, I will, if it's agreeable to the board, I will communicate with you tomorrow, because I don't think I'll have a date of specifically who you can be communicating with. Is that acceptable?
Probiotics that are in her refrigerator tonight, what is she supposed to do?
I can try to get the number before 5, or the name before 5.
That would be very, very helpful. And anything you can do to help turn on the power of these two people who are here today, who have given compelling testimony, would go a long way to helping me understand that the public utility is actually operating in the public's benefit.
And through this process, the sort of public angst and concern falls on you at this point, since you're representing the company. We don't have anyone else to talk to, and it also has fallen on the poor installers, who are folks, men and women out there just trying to do their jobs, but they're the only ones that people come into contact with on a day-to-day basis, and yet the decisions are being made at a much higher level. That is opaque to us. It is opaque to the public. It is opaque to us. We're not even sure that the PUC is one entity we can talk to. We know who those individuals are. Whether they're listening or not sort of seems beyond what we know. But being able to have conversation directly with your organization has been difficult and frustrating.
I understand.
All right. Any more questions, comments from board members?
No, but
Looking for, there's two motions that we need. One is on item 30 with respect to the letter around the
we already...
opt-out options, and the other is with respect to 51.2. So I'm looking for motions. I'm sorry, we're through with the public testimony.
May I please? I've come here 3 times.
We are, I'm sorry, we are done with the public testimony. No, I'm sorry, we're moving. Thank you.
I'll move the recommendation on both items.
So we have a motion on both items by Supervisor Coonerty.
I'd like to add something to that motion.
Okay.
We have a public health officer here, and I would ask that we have a report back to the second meeting in January where she's done an analysis of the research on the health effects of smart meters, and I think that might be very good information for the board to have. So I'd like to, if it's acceptable, I'd like to add that. And I'd also like to add a motion to County Council. And I don't know if there's anything to this, but just as I'm sitting here listening, I'm just thinking, this can't be right, that we can have a public utility refusing utility service to somebody who wants service, who will pay for service, who's willing to have an analog meter. I'm just having trouble believing that that is actually a legal position for PG&E to take, and so I would ask.
Looking for.
I would ask that we ask County Council to also come back on that at that meeting with the results of their research on that issue.
So I'll incorporate both those suggestions into the motion.
Okay. All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Any further comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. We do have a closed session to go into. Will there be reportable items from closed session?
There are no reportable items.
No reportable items? Thank you. I'd like to thank Community TV for hanging with us today through a long meeting. We will now move to closed session, so I will adjourn the public part of this meeting. Thank you.
The meter that has been placed at these homes, it's not a PG&E approved meter. It's not something that PG&E has
Right, but
purchased.
you could replace it with a PG&E approved.
We
analog.
aren't replacing any analog meters. We don't have any.
That's a policy. But in fact, there's no public safety reason why you can't replace it with an analog meter.
It just seems incredibly hard for me to believe that we're going to let people, I don't know how many there are out there. We've heard of 3 today. A person came earlier, and I saw them on the news last night, and we have 2 more people who are sitting in here today. One person has articulated that she has a daughter with an illness. Mm-hmm. I mean, how can...
Not that I know of.
No.
No,
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
the public comment period is over.
I'm sorry, could the speaker state her name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry. Wendy Sarsfield, Central Coast Area Manager, Government Relations for PG&E.
Thank you.
It's
Smart meter.
Smart meter.
well,
Why the smart meter? Why can't it be a PG&E approved analog meter? Can it be?
It's my understanding that's what we are replacing, is a smart meter.
you know that
It's just
So
a
you're
decision.
saying that for the past decades, when we've had analog meters, that we've had a public safety problem?
No,
we stand up here and say that we can't do anything to help that person.
as soon as we can replace with a smart meter, the power will be restored.
So you're
In
holding
fact, in other situations, power has been restored.
So you're holding them hostage in order to make the point.
Exactly.
This situation is because of the public safety issue that's involved.